welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV. Last time we visited Midgard Sorma and he stripped us of a blessing of light. And let's see what happens today. I forget, I believe Moenbryda has requested a gathering of Ascians. I assume there have been some progress concerning our efforts to combat the Ascians. Pray inform her that our business with the Garleans is concluded for the moment. I shall be along once I've completed my communications with the Crystal Braves. We are done with the Guardians. All done with the talk of dragons. Wonderful. Because Ascians are next on the menu. Let's head into the Solar, shall we?
Now that everything's calmed down a bit, relatively speaking I mean, I thought it might be a good time to share our progress on the weapon. I believe we're on the verge of a breakthrough.
Well, don't keep us all in suspense.
Just in case anyone's forgotten, let's start by reviewing what we already know. So, an Ascian is an immortal because its soul doesn't return to the ethereal realm when its host is defeated. Instead, it flees to the place that lies between our world and the void. Therefore, the first step to permanently defeating an Ascian is preventing its soul from making this journey. And if you recall, when we last gathered here, I had verified that white auracite has adequate capacity to entrap the beings, albeit only briefly.
Which left the small matter of their extermination.
Aye. To unmake an Ascian soul, one must needs smite it with a concentrated burst, or blade, of purest ether. However, we wanted for both the data and the means to forge such a weapon.
Short of experimenting on an actual Ascian, you see, there's no way to gauge how much ether its soul is made of. As such, we don't know what etheric density our blade needs to have in order for it to work.
So we'll just have to make the densest blade we can and hope for the best. Though that would require a lot of ether. Hang on a minute. Why didn't we think of this before? White auracite can hold an absolute heap of ether, can't it?
You stated that last time as well, and we always said it can't store it for very long, so you had to charge it right that moment.
Please tell me you're joking. God's sakes, Ida. I feel as though I'm reliving the same scene over and over with you. How many times do you need to be told that white auracite cannot store ether for long periods? Being intangible matter, ether is given to dispersion. Only in its crystallized form is it a stable source of energy. I will test you later on this, so see to it you do not forget.
Right, yes. It's all coming back to me.
So our hopes rest on good old crystals again, do they? While they are certainly reliable, they leave something to be desired in the area of portability.
Indeed. I am reminded of the quantity of corrupted crystals required to thwart Leviathan, and the extraordinary lengths to which the Lamentsons went to transport them. What if it should prove that a similar quantity was needed to destroy an Ascian's soul? Or still more?
I do not envy the poor sod who has to lug all of that around, on the off chance that an Ascian appears.
That's the very problem we set out to solve. And I reckon we've found the answer. If it isn't practical to lug around the ether we need, we'll just have to draw upon another source. And the only viable source is the land.
If you mean to tap the Great River of Ether, know that it will entail considerable risk. Meddling with the currents may well induce a surge like to the one which despoiled Moenbryda.
Give me a bit more credit, will you? Why would we need to tap the river when there are veritable reservoirs jutting out all over the land? Aye, I speak of corrupted crystals. It might be that their aspect is out of balance, but a crystal's a crystal. It contains ether, and we can help ourselves to it.
While corrupted crystals are indeed abundant, there is no guarantee that they will be in close proximity at a crucial moment.
But what if we don't need them to be? What if we could tap their power from afar? A malm away, say? If we could do that, we'd have ready access to ether aplenty in almost every corner of Eorzea. I've yet to put my theories to the proof, but I've got a good feeling about this. If no one has any objections, I'd like to see where this avenue leads.
If you think it's worth your while, you have my blessing. But tell us, what are your theories? I, for one, am most eager to understand the process, however vaguely.
I thought you might say that, but no one wants to listen to boring old theories all day, do they? I know I don't. So with your permission, I'd like to try something a bit more hands-on. I've already built an etheric siphon especially for this purpose, and I've been meaning to try it out. Thing is, the profusion of corrupted crystals in Mordona makes it something of a high-risk testing ground. If anything goes awry with the siphon, it would be better if it didn't happen within spitting distance of quite so much ether. Ideally, I need an isolated specimen. Does anyone know where I can find one?
May I suggest Northern Thanalan? There you will find corrupted crystals of middling size, standing a reasonable distance apart. Ideal for your needs, I should have thought. Oh, and if you do elect to visit the place, I should be much obliged if you would assist me in another matter while you are in the area.
Has something happened?
Movement has been observed at Castrum Meridianum. During Operation Archon, the Alliance dealt the stronghold a heavy blow. Its facilities were extensively damaged, and its garrison reduced to a fraction of its former strength. Not long after our forces withdrew, however, their ranks were replenished by reinforcements from Castrum's sentry. They now seek to rebuild, and to this end they have their sights set upon the ceruleum processing plant. Having lost the Empire's support, the 14th Legion lacks the resources to sustain itself. To them, this is a bid for survival, and they will doubtless fight like desperate men. Though I have dispatched the Crystal Braves, I fear their strength alone may not suffice to stay the Imperial assault. I would request the Scion's aid in the defensive effort.
If I didn't know better, I'd say you were trying to inveigle us into fighting your battle with the promise of shiny crystals. Well then, consider me inveigled. I won't lie, the crystals you speak of sound perfect, so the Garleans have to go. Besides, we can't afford to beat about the bush. There's no telling when the Ascians will next appear.
Thine eagerness to hurl thyself into the jaws of danger cometh as little surprise. Exercise due caution, I prithee.
Though you have become a Crystal Brave, you are yet a Scion, Alphinaud. We could hardly refuse you. Pray, join the Crystal Braves and lend them your support. Thangred and Papalymo shall accompany you. Ida and Y'shtola, in the meantime I would have you assist Moenbryda. Scout out the crystal clusters, that the testing may commence as soon as the Garlean threat has been eliminated.
If it please you, I shall continue mine own experiments on white orosite.
Thank you, Urianger. Everyone, pray see to your preparations and depart as soon as you are able. Go well, and be safe.
Alright, we have a plan to defeat Ascians in the future. Though I have little doubt you will prevail against the Empire's forces, I shall pray for your success nonetheless. Our very future may depend upon Moenbryda being free to pursue her experiments. It seems you've barely arrived before you must once more plunge into the fray. Truly's an unforgiving mistress, huh? Though the tasks we tackle are not like to be as realm-shaking, Cordona and I must also heed our call. Hoy was most eager to join you on the front lines of battle, but as fate would have it, the antecedent has other plans for our talents. I see that the Ascians are more than ready themselves. Alright. It would seem that events have once more conspired to rob us of rest and repercussion. Though I would wish it otherwise, I must ask you head straight away to the processing plant. The fourth will have already deployed in the area and await the arrival of the Ascians. Wilred will brief you on the developing situation. Meanwhile, I must rendezvous with Captain Ilbert at our headquarters in Ul'dah. I shall take command of our forces there with a lighter heart, knowing that you go to support the front lines. Your duties take you to Northern Thanalan, do they not? Yep. We too must save our farewells to the Rising Stones for a time. Flamin travels to Ul'dah, and we shall serve as her escort. At my daughter's behest, I go to contact certain old acquaintances in the Gilded City. We are beset on all sides by civil unrest and imperial machinations, threatened by primals and troubled by dragons. We need all the allies we can muster. Many of my friends hold positions of power, you see, and it's my hope that they can be convinced to aid the Scion's cause. If past events have taught us anything, we know that Eorzea must present a united front, or we shall fall. Ah, how extraordinary that my little Ascilia is involved in such far-reaching affairs. I'm proud that I might now stand at her side, and not only as a mother, but also as a colleague. A colleague with influential connections, but I fear that Ul'dah has become a place of danger, even for one so familiar with her streets. Bah! Woe betide the blackguard who so much as glares in your direction, my lady. I shall be well protected, it seems. Shall we be on our way, then? Commander Leveilleur sent word you'd be coming. A veteran of your talents is most welcome. Not that I don't think we can handle the situation, mind you. I've learned a trick or two since that disaster of Yamarja. But returning to the task at hand. The Flame's reconnaissance scouts have reported Imperial soldiers assembling at Rauban's push. Such a force is likely interested in only one thing: getting their hands on the resources found here at the processing plant. The Garleans could begin marching on us at any time. Pray speak with Lieutenant Edelstein that we might coordinate our counter-strategy. In the meantime, I will inform the others that you have arrived. No doubt it will be a welcome tidings. Lieutenant Klingor, my soldiers yet tell tales of your deeds during Operation Archon. Would that we could sit a while and reminiscent about the old times, but I fear more pressing matters require our attention. The civilian draughtsmen, you see, have come across several highly suspicious crates within the boundaries of a processing plant. Had my sappers take a closer look and our worst fears were confirmed. These boxes contain powerful explosive devices. Devices of Imperial design, no less. By my order, the flame stationed here are conducting a thorough sweep of the compound as we speak. Though it troubles me that we are unable to apprehend the Imperial spy behind this, I have faith that our men will be able to neutralize the threat for now. In the meantime, our scouts bring troubling news on the latest movements of the Imperial army. I would once again ask you for your aid. We've been keeping a close eye on the Garlean garrison and would seem the Imperials have begun mobilizing. According to the reconnaissance report that just came in, the squad seen leaving the custom are too few in number to effectively take and hold our position. They will likely mount a swift assault and focus on the acquisition of resources. I have, of course, also shared this report with the Crystal Braves. We have decided to take the field to meet this assault head-on. I've apprised your fellow Scions of the situation, and I'm heartened to know that they will be joining the effort. Pray report to Lieutenant Alien, and lend your much welcome strength to the counteroffensive. I remember, originally you had to actually look for these crates with the bombs yourself, and they were literally all over here, including up here. The only way up here is up this thing. Because you couldn't fly back then, right? And figuring that out took a while. Glad to have you with us, Desiree. As I'm sure Lieutenant Edelstein has explained, the Garleans have deployed a small force from Castor Meridianum. Their main column assembles to the north near Dalamut's Talons, but we've also spied several squads attempting to conceal themselves on the approach to the west. They wish you to rush forth and commit to battle with the main column, leaving the detached force free to raid the plant and pillage supplies. Not much of a strategy, but these are desperate men. Captain Ilbert! Greetings, Sons. I understand the commander bid you and your fellows come lend a hand to the Braves. With such mighty heroes at its disposal, the fourth should have little trouble contending with all the Garleans might throw at them. But even you cannot be everywhere at once. The third was getting restless holed up in Ulda, so I marched them out here to fill any holes in the plant's defenses and add their numbers to your counterattack. The reinforcements are welcome. We've enough soldiers now to divide our own forces and safely engage the enemy far beyond the walls. Aye, it will be best to avoid staging a battle anywhere near this much ceruleum. Let's take this fight to the Garleans. A wise course indeed. I shudder to think of the consequences should any of these storage tanks be exposed to fire. If there's no objection, the Scions shall join the fourth and give battle to this main column. You're the third then, Warrior of Light. Your job will be to intercept these squads hiding out in the west and prevent them from reaching the processing plant. When you're ready to proceed, report to Lieutenant Yuyuhase. His scout should have a rough idea of where the Imperials have concealed themselves by now. A pleasure to be fighting at your side once more, Scion. Our operations invariably succeed when you're around, and the victories are wont to pave the road to greater coin. Now, this detached force we've been sent to eliminate has split into smaller squads, but better to conceal themselves within the terrain hereabouts, I imagine. We need to split ourselves up as well to cover more ground and make sure we root out all of these would-be raiders. And seeing as you're an army unto yourself, I've assigned you your own areas to scour clean of enemy soldiers. Aye, this will be a simple search and destroy. We want to be back here when the task's done. Happy hunting, Scion. Ah, there's more. Alright. You seem grim, Scion. It'll take that... I take that to mean that between us, more than a few Garleans won't be making it back to the castrum. These Imperials, though, they certainly made us earn our pay. I would be a happy man if I never had to tussle with another of those magic horrors. It's time we bid the war-torn land farewell. I will contact the 4th and let Lieutenant Alphinaud know the west is now clear. I would appreciate it if you would do the same when you report to Lieutenant Edelstein. Lieutenant Klingor, what news of the Garleans? The raiding parties are no more then. Excellent. The Imagina engineers will be most relieved to hear that the plant is no longer in immediate danger. Thank you again for your assistance. Okay, but I end this episode here, and next time we continue and probably help Moenbryda? We will see. And then, I'm Mace, and don't get lost.